Hi, everybody. This is Kendell Lenice, and welcome to Kendell Lenice Live, my YouTube show. If you are watching, you are on my YouTube channel, so do me a favor, subscribe below. It's so important that you subscribe, like, share, and not only that, but to comment. If you like what you hear, send us a comment. We know what you like, and we can give you more of what you like. But I thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Kendell Lenice Live. We will be talking about manifestation with my marvelous guest. But before I introduce her to you, I just want to give a quick moment of silence for George Floyd. Thank you so much. As a responsible adult and a responsible brand, I definitely cannot allow that to go unnoticed. My prayers go out to his family and friends and everybody, because it's not just the people that know him. It's the people that don't even know him, never seen him, never heard his name. You know, we're all affected by that. If you have a heart or a pulse, you have to be affected by that in some way. All right, so I'm going to welcome my guest back. That's right, back. As I told her, she was one of my first interviews for this series, Kendell Lenice Live. All right, so Lisa Scott is back, and I am going to read her amazing bio to you. Lisa Scott is based out of New Jersey. She is a wife and a mother of 4. Manifestation, and a manifesting coach and metaphysician, speaker, and blogger. At age 12, Lisa stepped into the state of being as a teacher in order to assist herself from having a hard time getting a B in class through the use of imagination. Lisa manifested the following and more. Working as an educator for one of the area's largest healthcare organizations without the normally required bachelor's degree. She manifested working a part-time job, making full-time money. And she also manifested traveling back and visiting, having conversations with her younger self, giving voice to her younger self and healing an entire timeline of blocked energy and uncautious, limiting thoughts. Her husband, she manifested her husband, y'all. So I know some people just stopped. Some people just stopped at that part.
Right there.
I'm tuning in. Right. Lisa is the creator of the Giving Yourself Permission method, which I love. Lisa's service includes group and one-on-one coaching using the Giving Yourself Permission method. Lisa created the Giving Yourself Permission course as well. Lisa currently hosts the Feel It Real Mastermind, which is a monthly membership where she helps you increase your inherent manifesting experiences, starting with self-love. Lisa also has a YouTube channel, Permission to Live in the End, where she shares personal manifesting experiences, which she'll share with us today. Lisa is the author of the new e-guide, Go Back and Heal Little You, a guide to giving yourself your voice back. And the free ebook is free, y'all. So already y'all need to be going to the computer and getting this book. When you've tried everything else except yourself. I love that. 6 steps to moving beyond your past experiences and programs and step into your own. You can visit Lisa's website, which we'll give now and then later on in the show, lisascott.org, to get your gift, which is a free 15 minutes. Let's see if we're a match to work together discovery session. All right, so and then I'll allow her to tell her social media handles and all that. And once again, I needed to really be holding my phone like this, and I was trying to be like this. And then it sounds like I got a 3rd grade education, but that's okay. We know that is not the case.
We know that.
I need to be like, but welcome back, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining me back and being one of my first guests and my favorite guests. Yay.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. And you got some great feedback when you were here the last time. And we talked about a lot of different things. We focus on manifesting, but we didn't really just stick to that. So I wanted to do a show strictly about manifesting. And you can take this with you everywhere you go. So I'm going to start with what people want to know. We're going to start here. How did you manifest your husband, girl? Because I have done that too. So yes. I just want to know how you did it. What you did?
Well, the first, I gotta precede this by saying my husband would say, "How do you know I didn't manifest you?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess we manifested each other then."
Either way, manifesting worked.
Exactly. But
so what tell it was, them how long you get married, because that's also key, because you can manifest somebody who's there for 5 minutes. And not to say that they're not supposed to be there 5 minutes. There might be there right. to teach, to grow you, to help you heal. But you manifested a long time, love.
Yeah, we've been married for 23 years. Yeah, so what I did was, I think it's important to precede, what I'm about to say. Well, because it's a part of my story, but also because we find out what we want also by seeing and identifying what we don't want.
Yes. Say that again.
We understand what we want by also identifying and understanding what we don't want. So for myself I don't even remember how old I was, but had to be of age where, a lot of my friends, they were dating, and I just saw a lot of nonsense that I just was like, no, I don't have the patience, for that. And although, at the time I could have been dating myself, I decided, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do the dating game or whatever, but I also want to be very conscious of exactly what do I want. For some reason, I realized I can stop right here at this moment in time and I can pay attention to what I actually want. I don't even know where that came from. I don't know how I became consciously aware of that, but I did. I became consciously aware, and I just sat down and I jotted down some characteristics, but those characteristics came from my heart. Like I really stopped and I allowed myself a space and time to hear, like, if you were going to manifest somebody, what would they be like? What would they look like? How do you want to feel in that relationship? And that's exactly what I did. I jotted everything down. Most importantly, I believed everything I was saying. There was no doubt. Whenever I wrote something, it was so exact and precise because it was coming from my heart that I knew that what I was writing was going to be a reality. And that's the most important aspect of manifesting is realizing that what you're saying is the truth of the matter.
And I'm so glad that you said that, Lisa, because I often tell people manifestation is not magic. It's not something that I dream of genie and you think about it and it happens. You have to really believe, because if you're putting it out there or writing it down and you're saying, this is what I want, but in the back of your mind, you're saying, well, it's not going to happen. I'm going to just write it. I'm going to just say it, but it's not going to really happen. And then it doesn't happen. And then you're quick to say, well, manifestation doesn't work.
Yeah, well, the very first thing that people, I believe that they need to know is that all of us are always manifesting. We're manifesting all the time. So when you become consciously aware that you're manifesting, that's when the game starts to change, because it's whatever it is that you're currently focused on, whatever it is you're paying attention to, whatever assumptions you're making about yourself, whatever conception you have about yourself, which means whatever you're formulating in your mind as you're thinking, which no thought goes without having a correlating emotional response with it. But as we're doing that, whether we're unconscious of it or conscious of it, we are getting what we're focusing on. So we are actually master manifestors. And if we were to stop and look around our lives, we would realize that, yes, and really pay attention to our thoughts. We would realize that every single thing that is around us, we have manifested, whether it was a long time ago. Like a lot of times we can be thinking about something and completely forget that we were thinking that thought, and then here it comes in your physical reality.
And I always say, be careful what you focus on. Focus on what you want, because even if your focus is something you don't want, and that's where your focus lies, then that's what you're going to focus on. If your focus lay right there, then that's what you're going to focus on.
Absolutely. And it's just amazing because that's what I had to do. This is why I said I'm going to create the giving yourself permission method.
I love that.
Because every single thing that I've ever done, once I became consciously aware, because, regardless of whether we're conscious or not, it's still happening. But when I became consciously aware of my thoughts, and I decided, once I pay attention to how I'm feeling or pay attention to what I've manifested, and I make a different decision, everything I've ever done has been as a result of first giving myself permission to think a new thought, giving myself permission to feel a new feeling. Some of the things that you mentioned, or that I have in my bio, in terms of when I was 12 years old and I went into the state of being as a teacher in order to, get a good grade ultimately in this class. I had to first give myself permission to allow that process to take place. When I decided or paid attention, became consciously aware of a period in time where I was kind of jumping from job to job, not conscious that, even though I was gaining some experiences and money and stuff like that, there was a time where I really needed to stop and pay attention because I was tired of jumping from job to job. So when I became consciously aware of that, I had to really stop and give myself permission to listen to myself and hear from my heart center what I really wanted versus what I have been compromising all that time. And when I did that, I began to open up and hear. But I had to first give myself permission to do that.
And I think that that's so important, and I'm just glad you're hitting on, as you know, you're hitting right on the hot topics. Because even as a certified life coach, it's very important for me to let people know and almost give people permission to give themselves permission.
Exactly.
Because so many people are taught that they don't deserve this, they can't have this, not me, I can't do it. And if you really do exactly what Lisa said, give yourself permission. I think that's so important. It's almost like a ton of bricks just being released off of you when you give yourself permission. Yeah.
Well, it is because really I had to also process that nobody's going to walk up to me and give me that permission. Nobody's going to do that for me. You know what I mean? So I have to make that decision within myself. And really, really know that, whatever it is I am the decision. I'm the one making these decisions. And
why? Because it's your life.
Exactly.
And that's what people need to know. This is your life. God said to put you here. And so many people, I'm all for praying. I just prayed right before this. But if you pray and then you sit there and you don't believe and you don't participate in your own rescue in your own life, then you're going to say, well, God doesn't work, prayer doesn't work, manifestation doesn't work, because you're not giving yourself permission to be a participant in your own life.
Exactly. It's so important to be a participant. I was thinking of another, when I made the decision that I was going to, I believe I brought this up in the last conversation, but when I made the decision or started to hear from myself that I wanted to make full-time money working a part-time job, Can you imagine, like, let's talk about this. We got to talk about this.
Yes, because that was the second thing, because they want to get the man or get the woman, and then now they want some money. So it's going right in line.
Well, I really want to talk about this because, you know, I think about that as being one of the most major forks in the road of my understanding the fact that we do need to give ourselves permission about something. The reason I'm saying that is because once I made that decision, there were some challenges that began to rise up in my own mind that started to challenge what I had just, heard from myself, that I wanted to work part-time, making full-time money. And those challenges, which are in internal conversations and old programming and all of this, old assumptions that we've made, and again, conceptions that we're formulating about ourselves, those conversations began to rise up inside of me. And a couple of them were, what? Like, how dare you? How dare you say you want to work? Who do you think you are that you want to work part-time, making full-time money? That's what I heard. But I also heard nobody else around you is doing that.
Come on.
Nobody else in your immediate surroundings is doing that. I mean, I'm around a lot of people doing it now, because with the advent of, with the internet and all of that, you can get out here and make, if you're creative and you give your audience what they want, you can make money online.
Yeah. So what did you do? So what was it? What was the job? And what did you write down? Did you write down
I didn't write down a thing, actually.
Okay.
I didn't write down a thing. This was years ago. I was working in the largest healthcare system in this area. I ain't gonna name no names. But I was working in that healthcare system, and I was doing.
Does it have a color in it?
Yes. Yes. But at that time, I was working various administrative roles. So I was always in administrative type roles. And I'll just say that's a manifestation of itself, because I did not hold a bachelor's degree to hold these roles. So I talk about becoming an educator, but I was also a customer service, I forgot the darn title, but it was another role that required a bachelor's degree. Another role that required a bachelor's degree was I was an office manager for all of the subspecialties that existed: neonatal intensive care subspecialty, RNS oncology subspecialty. I was in these various roles that would have normally required a bachelor's degree, and I didn't have one. But that's because of the assumptions I made about myself. So it's like we're busy worrying about we're worrying about things that we don't need to worry about. Yeah. But until you're to the state of being where you, like I said, I already believed I was a teacher. That was something I had, done since I was 12 years old. And so these roles were, they didn't challenge me to move into them. I already felt like this is what I was. So it didn't, it didn't cause any doubt or anything for me to be able to move into these roles.
I think that's important, though. I think that's important what you just said. You already felt it. So that was almost a certain level of manifesting.
Well, this is why I started and I don't want to forget what I was saying, because I was talking about the challenges that came up inside of my own mind that I had to give myself permission to move past. And the very first thing I had to do was recognize that I was hearing what I was hearing. So, and the reason that's important is because if I wouldn't have addressed it at that very moment, it would have risen up at another time. So when I heard the internal conversations I was having with myself, not anybody else, with myself, because that's where it's always starting.
And that's what happens, is you can talk yourself out of what's really for you.
Exactly. So I had to, I stopped and I paid attention to each thought. And I asked myself, is this true? Is this your truth? Or is it a program that is running from some previous, space and time where perhaps you were thinking that. And it's not to beat yourself up about, it's to understand that I'm looking to move over here. So I cannot take with me the old programming. So if you don't even hear the old programming, if you're not aware of it, then you're not necessarily going to be able to get rid of it, because you don't even know what's subconsciously playing in the background. You don't even know, So, so I actually felt very blessed to hear that information, because I had the opportunity to say, is this the truth? Well, it could be a truth that somebody has, but it wasn't my truth, not at that space and time. And when I, answered the question, no, this is not my truth, this is not my reality, the thoughts went away immediately. They just needed to be, it's like shining a light on something that has not been seen, and as soon as you shine a light on it, it can dissipate. Now, I'm not saying everybody's that way, but for myself, that's how this happened. And
so you really had to have that conversation. So giving yourself permission is really having that conversation with yourself, saying that, you know what, you're worth it. Stop talking yourself out of what's really for you. Let's change our mindset. Let's focus on something different. And when we focus on something different will happen for you.
Exactly. But here's the other part that I like to talk to people about, because it's very, very, very important. You don't need to tell everybody about what you're trying to do.
Hello, somebody.
Now,
hello.
Now here's why that's important, or why it was important for me. First of all, I was hearing something I had never heard from myself before. So I needed to build the strength within myself in order to stand in that state of being. It had, yes, these thoughts had just rolled out, and working part-time, making full-time money moved in. But I also realized that not everybody around you is going to understand this. Not everybody around you is going to be able to accept this. And I realized that it's not because they don't care about you, or it's none of that. It's nothing that they're trying to do to harm you. But what's happening is a person can only respond to you based on their own current state of being and reality. So if a person is scared, or they don't understand what you're talking about, or they haven't had that experience, then they cannot speak to you about what you're talking about, because now you're in a whole other state of being. So you have to be careful, because I didn't tell anybody. I mean, nobody, not even my husband. And this is because I didn't want anybody's fear, or anybody's whatever it is they might bring to what I'm talking about. I couldn't take that in. I needed to spend time with myself. But the other thing that's happening is, as you're spending that time with yourself, and you're in the state of being now of part-time, or working part-time, making full-time money, the energy that you would have put out that way externally, toward telling people, toward trying to convince somebody, toward trying to get them to see it your way, you can now turn that energy toward yourself and give it back to yourself. And you're building yourself up in that state of being, as opposed to expressing the energy outwardly.
I think that's so important that you said that. You touched on a lot of great things there. And just speaking about not telling everyone everything, because that can be in you. They can manifest that in your life, or it can give you some doubt on what you want and what you deserve and what's required for you, just with their fear, like Lisa said, and their negative thoughts, and their, thinking it's impossible to manifest. So it's so important to keep some things. And she said she didn't even tell her own husband. And it's not about the person, or, wow, she didn't tell her husband. It's something, when you manifest something for you, it is for you. And I just wanted to really stress that point. So I agree with that. So you said that you can blow, and I have these too with vision boards and manifestation, but I want to hear from you. Like you said, it will blow our minds to think of some of the things that you've manifested. And you talked about the job, the part-time job, making full-time money. And you talked about manifesting your husband. And I know on the previous show, we talked about speaking to your younger self. But what were some of the other things that you were able to manifest over in your life?
Well, let's talk about my brand new roof.
All right, come on.
Which is thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Okay. So this is really something. Well, you know what? I got a couple things. I have an apartment that I made. This was a long time ago, but I like to share these because they bring it into a practical, space.
Yeah.
So I had been, there was a water leak in my bedroom that I wasn't aware of. We weren't aware of when we moved in. So I had this leak and it starts, doing something in the ceiling. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on? And I am staring at this leak, right? I didn't realize that I had shifted from just staring at the leak to saying that leak's going to get fixed, right? And I'm like, okay, I didn't know it was going to require a new roof, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to bring an adjuster in. I'm going to bring an insurance adjuster in. Well, I start hearing immediately from everybody around me, insurance adjuster ain't going to pay for that. They're not going to pay for that. They don't pay for this. They don't pay for that. I'm like, I'm not even taking this in because in my mind, they are going to pay for this.
Right,
exactly what's going to happen, right? So the adjuster comes in, but also in the meantime, let me throw this in. My bedroom, I wanted brand new carpet. I want brand new paint. You know how you've been somewhere for a while and you just want to give it you want to represent. You want to zhuzh it up. You want it to represent who you are now versus when you first moved in somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
visualizing.
Also where you are, like you said, where you are in different stages, you have different tastes,
Exactly.
different vibes, energy. You want
exactly.
From out, maybe.
Exactly. So I'm, in my bedroom is my favorite space. I mean, it's where I meditate. It's where I feel comfy, cozy. So I'm in the bedroom and I'm looking around and I'm looking at the new, the new paint, and it's going to be gray, and the carpet, it's going to be gray with the speckles in it. And, I'm going to have crown molding. This is all in my mind happening. And I'm just smiling and, this is, okay. So I say all that to say the adjuster comes in for the roof and he's writing down all kinds of stuff. And I'm thinking he's only paying attention to the damage of the ceiling and, the roof estimate. So he writes out this detailed estimate and everything. It included new carpet, new paint, just everything I was imagining, this estimate included, right?
Wow.
Now, he gives us the estimate and it was a couple $1,000s, right? So we take it, give it to a roof, because he tells us, go get some quotes or whatever, bring the quotes back and we'll,
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. So a roof adjuster comes over and he's shocked. The roof adjuster or the roof fixer or whatever he is. He's shocked that I'm even he's like, we don't hear of, usually insurance companies don't pay out for roofs or whatever. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about that. All I know is.
I know what I believe.
Listen.
What I manifested. I don't know about that other stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know. All I know is roof is written here and here's their estimate or whatever. Now, this gentleman, when he gives me his estimate of the roof, it's thousands of dollars more than what the insurance adjuster offered. Right? So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, that's all right. I'm going back to the insurance company. I'm gonna get more money, right? This is what's going on in my mind. And my husband's like, he has this look on his face like, they gave you a couple thousand. I don't know if they're going to do this again. I said, listen, you sit back and you watch, right? You just sit over there. That's all. You just do what you're doing. So
you just enjoy the new roof and the new carpet and all of that.
Okay.
Later. But now I got this.
I got this. Okay. So I go back to the adjuster and I said, listen, they offered the roof guy came over. He said the roof is going to cost this amount. You're only giving this amount. And he's like, oh, that's all right. I'll send you another check.
What?
For the balance.
See?
Okay.
Now, but that's a good point, and I want to just really point that out. As Lisa said, remember when she said, don't allow anyone else to discourage you or to speak fear. And people will say what typically can happen. Well, normally it doesn't happen that way, or normally you can't. But when you're manifesting, like Lisa said, you got to believe and you got to know it in your heart. You don't know how it's going to happen, who it's going to happen from, because it could be she manifested that so well. It could have been because she got that particular adjuster on the phone. Had it been someone else on the phone, it might not have worked that way. But she was manifesting that, and everything fell in line.
I was already in the state of being. And this is what we'll talk about this already being in a state of being as if it has already occurred. Is the secret to manifesting. Yes. You must
say that again. Say it again.
You must go into the state of being as if something has already occurred. Mm-hmm. If you are not in that state, then you're functioning outside of the state. You're looking in, and you have an opinion. You're trying to assess. Well, that could be possible, might not be. You're still trying to make a decision about something. Mm-hmm. If you're standing outside of the state of being. I was already in a state of being of someone who had already received a brand new roof, who had already received the money for the brand new roof.
Come on.
And because I was already there, even when a variable came, I still was already in the state of already receiving the money. So unless I would have allowed myself to shift out of that state, I already received all the money for the roof. So when he came in, when it turned out that he had not assessed it as much money as the roof would cost, it's not my job to say, oh man, I forgot to say it was supposed to be 10,000 versus 6. No. I already received the money. I don't know nothing about how much the money is, and I don't care. That's not it. As a matter of fact, if I cared about that, that is part of the issue, is me trying to care about and count the
and how it's going to happen.
As a matter of fact, let me tell you before we leave the talk here that I have a free audio that I'm only going to share with those who say I'm in. And it is to help people who are tired of compromising where they're at, and they want to move into the state of being of their heart-aligned desires, life and lifestyle. And they want to learn how to stop worrying about the how. That's what, and this is a free audio, free.
How to stop worrying about the how.
Exactly.
I love that. Y'all better take advantage of that. Do you hear what she's offering for free? Because so many people out there are saying, well, how is this going to happen? I don't know how this is going to happen. I can't see this happening. It's not your job to worry about the how.
Exactly.
So do what you got to do. And Lisa will tell you how you can get this free audio. I think this is awesome. How can they get this? You said they have to want to, but how can they get this?
No, they have to say I'm in, like literally. They have to say I'm in. So right now, what I'll suggest is I have a contact form on my website, lisascott.org. There's not very much on the lead page of the website. So right there at the bottom, you can't miss it. On the right-hand side, the contact form right there, if they go to the site and just put I'm in the subject line, then I would be able to send them the information once I create. I'm going to create an email list specific to that particular audio, but right now all I need from people is their name and their email. So when I create this process, they already will be a part of it, and I'll send them the details. But this
and all you have to do is say I'm in. How
you gotta
easy
do,
is that?
that's what you gotta do, because I'll know what you're talking about.
That's right. And if you want to manifest in your life and your concerns about the how, all you have to do is go to lisascott.org and say I'm in. Scroll right to the bottom of the home page. She says it's very simple, and she will tell you how, or she will show you how. So stop worrying about the how and just write I'm in.
Exactly. Just write I'm in, but you have to do it on the contact form. There's an email form on the left. There's a sign up for email form on the left, and there's a contact form on the right. Now, either way, even if you end up, mistakenly hitting the email form, that just means you're going to go into my email list. But then after you know how emails take you through, did you really want to subscribe to this email list and all of that? And then you have to send me a response saying I'm in. So to alleviate all of that, I'm saying to just go to the contact form on my website on the right-hand side and just say I'm in, and I'm going to know what you're talking about, because that's only people that are looking to have this particular audio. I'm instructing them to say I'm in, so I will know what they're talking about.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so that's that with the roof. And like I said, along with the roof, I manifested a brand new bedroom. I got brand new
carpet. Talk about it.
That
you manifested the husband and the bedroom.
Exactly. All of that. So I'm saying it was more than what I said. Bye, babe. My husband's leaving, y'all. Bye,
bye,
babe. Rob. He's laughing. Say, bye, audience.
Bye, audience.
All right, babe. Love you. Love you. So, so I'm saying,
look, be careful.
Oh yeah, be careful. She's saying, babe. He said, that's all I do.
Right. Good.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is it wasn't just the implication or the assumption. That's what I want to say. I was focused my attention and all of that, but there were other attentions I was focusing on as well. This is what I mean by the assumptions that we are making about ourselves are also creating our reality. So even though I wasn't focused, like, zoomed in like I was on the roof, I had already made assumptions about what my bedroom was going to look like. So those assumptions fell in line even with the roof. So that's what I'm saying. This is amazing, because we're getting more. We're going to get more than what we're thinking, because there's also your assumptions that are playing themselves. And these assumptions are the subconscious thoughts that are running the show in our lives. We're just
let's give them an example of an assumption so they can identify it with themselves.
So you could be assuming that you're not worth making a certain amount of money. So you stay capped at a certain amount of money because your assumption is that you're not supposed to make any more than that. Or your assumption could be, I better be grateful for what I have and not want any more. That's an assumption that you're making, that you cannot have any more because you were taught, just be grateful for what you have and that's it. I know a lot of people who were taught that information.
Yeah, me too.
Not,
like you should just be grateful. You shouldn't want a bigger house. You should be grateful that you got a roof over your head.
Exactly.
It's like, who says that? I mean, yes, it doesn't mean that you're not grateful because of where you are now. It means that you want better for yourself.
And part of what, I can feel the energy of it as we're even talking about it, because there's a lot of assumptions that's being made with that information that we have to understand that, in our households as we were growing up, however, our parents who might have gone through a certain, a depression or not a depression mentally. I mean, the depression. Like they could have gone through the depression, or
or depression, or
depression, or you never know the state of being of your caregiver or the one who was speaking the words they were speaking to you, in order for you to take in that information at a time that you didn't have the ability to assess whether that served you or not.
That's good.
And now, because you're in a space where you want to move from where you are to some other state of being, you're feeling the struggle of not being able to exit your current state of being. And you don't know that it's because of the programming, the subconscious assumptions that you have been making all this time.
Yeah.
Which is why we must spend time with ourselves. We must quiet the external information that's coming, the television, the radio, the this, the that, because unless you're hearing what you are communicating on a subconscious level, you don't know what's keeping you trapped inside of a specific state of being.
That's true. Wow. That's so true. Wow.
I'll tell you that his name is Dr. Joseph Dispenza, and I give this quote all the time, and I might have even said it in the last talk. He's the author of a lot of different books, and he approaches meditation from a very scientific standpoint. He healed himself of a spinal injury through being able to concentrate his mind on the perfection of his spinal injury without surgery. Okay. But what he wanted to also do, he said, I can't just tell people they need to meditate and, and think that they're going to get it. And he wanted people to understand this is a what do you call it? Something you can replicate over and over again. This is not just something that just happened, or, just some pie in the sky, whatever. So, but anyway, I'm saying all that to say that he says, he gave this quote that just floored me one time. And it was that human beings process 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And out of the 60 to 70,000 thoughts that they process on a daily basis, 90% of what they're thinking are the exact same thoughts as the day before.
Say that again. I want people to really hear that.
Okay.
Say that quote.
Human beings process 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And out of the 60 to 70,000 thoughts that they're processing on a daily basis, 90% of what you're thinking the next day are the exact same thoughts as the day before.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
So it is no wonder, and what I mean by that is you no longer have to wonder why people are stuck in a specific state of being.
Yeah. And people don't realize, see, you probably know, but I'm a certified meditation practitioner. So I believe in being still. I believe in speaking positivity to you and through you. I believe, like you said, manifestation, vision boards, all of that collectively, it's a connection, because you gotta be able to be still. You gotta be able to be still to hear and to really feel and to really manifest what you want. And so many people have told me, Lisa, that manifestation doesn't work. I tried that. That's fake. It's not, because that's your thought already. So your thought that it's fake and it doesn't work, and then you wonder why it doesn't work.
Well, what's the like with anything that becomes has the title of something, we're calling this manifestation. And with that title, it brings a lot of, preconceived thoughts. It also might bring, it'll also bring a lot of maybe your past experiences that it didn't work. You're gonna whenever you hear that word, you're gonna keep thinking it doesn't work because that was your past experience with this word called manifesting. But and this is why I so dislike when something becomes so overly
trendy.
It becomes trendy. And it's not that we're calling this manifestation, but in actuality, it is the way human beings function. This is the science of who you are as a being. This is what you're doing, whether you're aware of it or not. It doesn't matter what it's called.
Right. And you can say that I'm not manifesting, but you are without even knowing it. Even the negativity that's happening and certain things that are happening in your life, you might not think you're doing anything, but thinking negatively, or you might not even think that. But oh, I love that you said that, Lisa.
It's you know, it's just like you said, the terminology has become trendy, and perhaps you did have an experience where you know, you never know. I mean, I don't know what different people are doing and how they go about this practice of becoming aware and causing people to become aware of their thoughts and what their process is to help you to understand that and take you through that process. Like I can't be the beacon for all manifestation coaches to know who's doing what, you know what I mean? So that's the difficult part, is if you have had a negative experience, you know, I mean, you know, it's you're going to bring that with you to whenever.
But just because you fall, you have a negative experience on a bike, you fall, it doesn't mean that you walk your bike home. No, most people will ride it home, and you get back on the bike literally and begin again. And that's really what it's about. But you have to have that right mindset.
Exactly.
Whether or not, it's all not actively doing that. But else to you, you're not doing that. But essentially, that's what you're doing.
Exactly. And I wanted to, oh, I'm sorry. We're kind of glitching up a little bit here. So I'll wait till it kicks back in. Are you saying anything, Kendell?
Yes. No, no.
Okay.
I was giving you the floor.
Okay.
I think virtually and live, you never know what you're going to get.
Right. Exactly. We got to give it some grace, because it's an awesome tool to be able to use. But, you know, I just wanted to share another story. This is another remarkable thing where this was years ago, and this is prior to me knowing anything. This is what I mean by we're doing this whether we know what we're doing or not. So years ago, my husband and I are in an apartment, and we're toward the end of the lease of the apartment. I'm not working. I'm starting to have my babies. I'm not working. My husband's working. And you know what? I'm thinking I might need to refresh this or something. Okay. Maybe it's better now. And we were going to be asked, it was time for us to move out, because now I had a son and a daughter, and they couldn't stay in the same bedroom. So, and we only had a 2-bedroom, it was like a townhome back then. At the same time, my then landlord, he was having some marital problems, and he needed to move into this apartment like ASAP. So we didn't know what was, you know, where we were going or anything. We didn't have the deposit to move somewhere else. We had so many things stacked against us at this time, and I was scared. Okay. I was scared. I was stressing. Now I'm pregnant and I am stressing. And at that time, because my husband was the only one working, and because so many things were stacked against us, he too was like, he didn't know what was going to happen. Right. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? And I'm spending my days being very, very frustrated, until one day I just couldn't take it anymore inside of my body. I could not take the negative feeling that was happening inside of my body. So I'm like, well, I'm skipping over a little piece. In the meantime of all of this, I had decided that I was going to, because there were so many apartments in the newspaper, I'm writing down, you know,
that was a long time ago. You said in the newspaper.
Oh, Oh, I'm sorry. I was writing
No,
down.
no, I'm laughing because you can tell how long ago it was because you
Oh,
said
because I said in the newspaper. Yeah, this was a long time. I didn't even realize that. But yes, you're right. So I had this, I had the newspaper and I'm writing down in this notebook. I decided to try to keep track of places that I had called where it was just like the answer was no. We weren't going to be able to do anything with, we weren't going to be able to move in. The answer was no. So I would write no next to this apartment so I could keep track and not call the same place.
Right.
And then, like I said, because of the feeling that I was having inside of my body, I had to make a decision. Here we go again. I had to give myself permission to let go of this feeling that I had because I was so frustrated. I'm pregnant. I'm like, this is not healthy. I can't do this, So I said, by the time I lay down, I'm going to lay down and I'm going to take a nap. And by the time I wake up, this feeling is going to be gone out of my body. Right?
I love it.
And like I said, I believed exactly what I was saying because I was sick and tired. Okay. Took a nap, woke up, and I started to hear instruction. I start to hear like literal instruction coming through, right? And this instruction is saying, take the notebook that you have, the notebook where, you were writing down these apartments and you had said no, any page that has no on it, tear it out and throw it away. So I'm like, okay. Like at this point, I'm like, what do I got to lose? Like,
Right.
So
they already said no. I might as well just rip it out and throw it away. Like
okay, yeah. I mean, what am I going to keep it for?
Right.
So I tear it out and I throw it away. So I'm waiting for the next instruction, right? So then I hear, take your pen and scroll down the page, and I'm going to show you what apartment is going to be your apartment.
Come on now.
Now, I had also heard in the midst of this that whoever you get this apartment from, when you tell them that you don't have a deposit, they're not going to bat an eye. When you tell them what your circumstance is, they're not going to bat an eye, and they're going to have something in common with your husband.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm hearing all of this, right? And I'm just like I said, I don't have nothing to lose, whatever.
Right.
So,
because all you would get is another no. Like you're not new to the no's. You got the no's already.
I already got the no.
Like you're listening and you're still, because that's where the stillness comes in.
Exactly. So this is when I started to hear. So I take my pen and I'm just scrolling down the page, and it stops on this apartment in Brigantine. Now, you know Brigantine, right?
Brigantine, yeah, Brigantine, New Jersey. I used to live in Brigantine.
You used to, okay. My husband and I never stepped foot in Brigantine before. Never.
Then.
We had never been over the bridge at that point.
Okay. Because people don't know. So people that are watching all across the land, Brigantine is a little city outside of Atlantic City, New Jersey. And there's a bridge from Atlantic City to go into Brigantine. One way in, one way out.
One way out. Right. One way in, one way out.
And you have the privilege of living near the beach, but that's a whole thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this is, it's a nice location. So anyway, we stopped there, and I'm I said the pen stops, right there, and I put little stars next to it or whatever. Then I hear, call the landlord and tell him you want to set up a meeting, but don't tell him yet what your scenario and all of that is.
Yeah.
Just set up a meeting to go to the apartment. Like, okay. So I'm telling my husband, babe, listen, this is what I'm hearing. I didn't tell him about the part where he was going to have something in common. No. Yes, I did. I told him that.
Wow.
So anyway, we set up the meeting. I said, okay, babe, we're going to the apartment or whatever. So we walked through the apartment. We love the apartment. It's really nice. It's a Asian guy named Billy. And he pulls up.
Asian guy named Billy.
Asian guy named Billy.
Already, you know something special is going to happen. You know something's going special is going to happen with an Asian guy.
Right, Asian guy named Billy. So we were waiting outside of the. We had set up the interview for a certain time, and he wasn't there yet. Like, we were waiting outside and he hadn't showed up. So we're like, should we wait a couple more minutes? Like, what's going on? We set up a time. Mm-hmm. Right when we were getting ready to leave, here he comes pulling up.
Here comes Billy.
Here comes Billy in his black Mercedes, right?
Okay. So
he comes pulling up. We go into the apartment. We love the apartment. Now here comes the time, because he's starting to ask questions now.
Yeah.
We're in the backyard, and also I was told to let my husband lead the conversation. Now, I don't know what that was about, but I was told to let my husband lead the conversation. So my husband and Billy are chatting, and he's asking the questions, and we start to tell him what the scenario is, the circumstance, all of that. He does not bat an eye, right? He's not moved. Okay. He's not moved at all, right? But, we're like, okay, all right. So anyway, I said, well, I like the apartment, and I decide to go sit in the car. Because I'm pregnant. So I'm big belly, I'm hot, I'm pregnant.
Right.
And I go sit in the car, and time is going by, and my husband's not coming out. He's still in there talking to Billy, right? And I'm thinking,
because they have something in common.
Kendell, he comes back to the car, and I'm like, what took you so long? And he said, this man gives boxing parties. Like, my husband's into boxing. I said, this is the man, right?
Wow.
Now, here's where it's going to blow your mind. Here's where it's about to blow your mind. Not just what I said, but here. Now we had asked him, because he told us he had other people he still had to interview. So we're like, okay. But I'm already like, we got the apartment, because this is the person that I heard. Mm-hmm. We already have the apartment, right?
Yeah. He
just don't know yet.
Right.
So he says he has other people to interview that same day, right? But when we got in the car and left, he got in his car behind us and left. So we were just,
So he knew.
Well, here's how. Let me tell you. Oh my goodness, this is one of them stories that's like, like what's going on? Like, so anyway, he told us he was going to let us know his, what the decision was, because he still has some other people he was going to interview, but he'll let us know. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. So a couple days goes by, I haven't heard from him. And I give him a call and I say, listen, I haven't heard anything from you. What's going on? He says, well, I have some good news and some possible not so good news for you, right? But he doesn't know yet. And I'm like, what? He says, well, there's this other family who had to move out of their home immediately for whatever their reasons were. Mm-hmm. And not only are they willing to give me more rent than what I'm asking for, they want to give it to me in cash. Right? So whatever he needs, all of his Billy's, he's getting more, they're offering more. He says, but I like you guys more. So this is his dilemma, Billy's dilemma.
Wow. So
I said, okay, I'll wait to hear from you. I hung up the phone and I said, this is our apartment. Like, Billy doesn't know that this is our apartment, but I know. I'm already in the state of being that we got this apartment. So I said, well, he doesn't know, so I got to go with what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. So that Saturday comes, phone rings, and my husband's in the kitchen chit-chatting with somebody, like they were longtime friends or whatever. And I'm like, what? Who? Like, who's he talking to? Like, they're talking boxing and, all of this, right?
Good old Billy.
My husband hangs up the phone and says, we got the apartment. Yeah. So my thing is this, Kendell. You are not going to know how something, you cannot be trying to figure out how. You cannot be trying to figure out the how. But even when the odds might have appeared to be stacked against me because somebody came out the woodwork with offering him more money than what he was looking for, and they were going to give it to him in cash. Even when that happened, just like the scenario with the roof, where it costs more money than what they originally, I was already in the state. I was already in the state of being that it had already occurred. So you can't, once you're there, that's it. And that's what people have to get to, is going into that state of being as if it has already occurred.
Woo! I mean, we can go on, and I'm so glad that you came by virtually via your home, in your home.
Me too.
So cool, because you're in Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. Hey, all my South Jersey folks. You know, I'm in Maryland, but my heart is always, a piece of my heart is always in Jersey.
Yes.
For sure. And my Jersey people will not let me forget it. My one friend to me is like, but you from Jersey. I was like, I know. I won't forget.
That is funny.
But you know what? I mean, you have enlightened our audience. I already know that people are going to activate that manifestation button and really concentrate and pay attention on what they focus on. But I want you, before we end, I want you once again to tell them how they can get the free audio, and give them your website and your social media handles.
Okay, so my website is lisascott.org, and on that page is a contact form on the lower right hand side, and you could just write, I'm in, I listen to Kendell's show, you know, I'm in, you want the free audio, which is how to stop worrying about the how. That's the audio.
Yeah.
And I haven't even finished all that up yet, but I'm looking for interest first before I start doing anything, because I'm just not going to work backwards where I make something and people don't want what you got, you know, that type of thing. So, so it's lisascott.org. I'm on the contact form, and Permission to Live in the End is my YouTube channel. Lisa Inspires, and I forgot my other Instagram page, but Lisa Inspires is one of my Instagram pages, and I believe that's on my social media platforms, I believe.
Look, I was going to look it up for you, but you can just find her through her website also. And
LisaScott.org actually has, if you look around there, you'll see where my social media, right on the front page, y'all, right on the front
boom.
in the upper right-hand corner.
So I know when you were on here before, you were approaching your 49th birthday. Am I correct?
Yes.
And guess what? Now I am approaching my 49th. It's the 17th. So happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I just thought, I said, wait a minute. Lisa, when we did it last time, she was approaching her 49th birthday.
Isn't that something?
And now I'm approaching. So did we manifest that without even?
I guess so.
Without even thinking. But I definitely have you back, because you're so knowledgeable, and there's so much that we can talk about, because my channel is all about education, elevation, and entertainment. So it's all about entertaining you, because we're not going to sit here dry. We're going to laugh and talk and have a good time. But we want you, and I want you, for this channel to be elevated in some fashion, as well as educated, because education is power. And I don't want you to be that person saying, well, I didn't know, and just walk away and go sit down and have a beverage. It's all about, if you don't know, then research it, find out, listen to shows like this, and go on Lisa's YouTube channel as well, because there's a lot of great information there. But do us both a favor and subscribe to our channels. It's so important that you do that, and that we have content like this out there, because there's so many different myths and stereotypes, and so many just foolish videos, which, you know, I get a kick out of them too, a time or two. But you want to have something with substance and great content. And Lisa and I both have that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to your audience. I love being here. It's always a lot of fun.
Yes, well, you will be back, and guys, you will see Lisa once again here on Kendell Lenice Live. So thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Subscribe below. It's so important that you do that. And remember, right. And remember, you are a star, so don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace.